Erich Hartmann was so dangerous that Soviet pilots were officially ordered to retreat the moment they saw the black tulip design painted on the nose of his plane. We are talking about the highest scoring fighter ace in the history of the world, a man with 352 confirmed aerial victories. To put that in perspective, most pilots in World War II were lucky to survive 10 missions, let alone reach double digits. But Hartmann wasn't just lucky. He was a master of psychological warfare and cold, calculated discipline. He didn't fly for the glory of the kill. He flew to ensure everyone on his team made it home for dinner. You might think a man with that many victories was a reckless daredevil, but the truth is exactly the opposite. Hartmann's nickname among his own comrades was Booby, which means the kid, and his philosophy was simple. Fly with your head, not your muscles. He developed a terrifyingly effective tactic he called see, decide, attack, break. While other pilots were getting into long, exhausting dogfights, Hartmann would sit back and wait. He would shadow an enemy formation for miles, often invisible against the sun, until he found the one pilot who wasn't paying attention. His most famous and most controversial rule was the windscreen tactic. He refused to fire his guns from a distance. Instead, he would dive in and wait until the enemy plane was so close it literally filled his entire front window. He wanted to be sure that every single bullet counted. This was incredibly risky because, at that range, when the enemy plane exploded, the debris would often slam right into Hartmann's own aircraft. In fact, he was forced to crash land 16 times during the war. But here's the mind-blowing part. Not once was he ever shot down by an enemy pilot. Every single crash was caused by the mechanical failure of his own plane or the literal shrapnel of the planes he had just destroyed. But the real test of his character didn't happen in the cockpit. It happened in the frozen labor camps of the Soviet Union. After the war ended in 1945, Hartmann surrendered to the Americans, but he was quickly handed over to the Soviets. They didn't just want him as a prisoner, they wanted to break him. They spent 10 years trying to coerce him into joining the East German military, using everything from starvation to false war crime charges. Hartmann stood his ground for a decade in the gulags, refusing to be a puppet for anyone, eventually being released in 1955. When he finally returned to West Germany, he joined the new Air Force, but his battle wasn't over. He became a fierce critic of the F-104 Starfighter, a jet he labeled a widowmaker because of its dangerous design flaws. He prioritized the lives of his pilots over political pressure, a move that eventually cost him his career and led to an early retirement. He was a man who survived the deadliest skies in history by being smarter than the chaos around him, and he finished his life with his integrity completely intact. Erich Hartmann's legacy isn't just about the numbers on his scoreboard. It's a masterclass in the power of patience, the value of survival over ego, and the courage to say no when everyone else is saying yes. He reminds us that the greatest victory isn't just winning the fight, it's making sure you're still the same person when the fight is over. He was the black devil to his enemies, but to history, he's the pilot who proved that the most lethal weapon you can ever carry is a clear mind.